everybody, welcome to this video. Today I am covering probably my most asked question, and that is, what camera gear do I use? I do a lot of self-filming, so it's understandable you guys are curious about what I'm using, and I'm here to share everything. I have done a few of these videos over the years, but I have updated some stuff, and I figured this would be a good chance to show you guys, kind of talk you through it, and maybe even give you some recommendations, because a lot of my stuff has taken me many years of practice and just perfecting and tweaking to kind of get to the point that I'm at. So a lot of my stuff is not beginner friendly at all. Like I highly advise against a lot of it. So I will give you guys some recommendations and things that I started with. So with that being said, we're gonna jump right in. All right, let's get into it. This is my brand new, as of this year, camera. And it's technically used. I bought it used, but it's new to me. And I ran it all turkey season, and this truly is a great camera. I love it so much. I wish I would have upgraded sooner, but as we all know, camera gear is expensive, so I kind of just waited for the right timing, and this one just happened to be available at the right timing, and so I said, all right, time to get it. So this is a Sony a7S III, and it is a great, truthfully, I think it's a great filming camera and a almost great, like it's still good, but not quite as good photo camera. Now that being said, a lot of that can be the lens. A lot of the time, the lens is more important than the body, depending on what you're trying to do. I will say, lenses can be more expensive than the camera, and, the better quality lens you have, the body is able to kind of be lacking in a sense for certain things. But that being said, this is a pretty solid combo, I think. This was great for turkeys, and I think it's going to be really good in the deer stand. The only thing I will say is it is a little on the heavy side, so that I'm curious how it's going to be, up in a tree. But this is the Tamron 35-150 f2 lens, and it is really nice, great glass. It's amazing in low lighting. So I've really loved it so far. You can do auto or manual focus. I typically run everything full manual with a few exceptions, but I really don't like auto for anything, truthfully. I really like to try to get my stuff as accurate as I'm seeing it with my eyeballs, and I try to adjust everything as needed. Now, if you're trying to get into filming and you're newer at it, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Definitely run things more auto to get started. The only thing I will say is if you have a deer that's in some thick brush, it can be difficult to run auto, because the auto focus is it's gonna see whatever is the closest thing to it, typically, or maybe even the largest picture. So you're gonna have to adjust and kind of mess around with that, but I really don't like autofocus for that reason, because it does tend to pick up on the little twig that is 20 yards closer, and then you watch it back and you're like, oh, I wasn't even on the deer, really. So that's one thing I will say just to pay attention to if you're trying to film. But I run everything full manual just because I just like to know exactly what it's doing and what it's filming, and what the settings are. I used to run a Rode shotgun mic, just the regular, I don't even know the model, to be honest, but I upgraded this year. Someone actually recommended this to me, and it is the Sony, ECM B10 mic. Now, ignore the fuzzy, it's because I had tape on here. I had this camo tape that I need to put back on, but it's really a great mic. It's a little bit nerve-wracking having this on because it is kind of flimsy, but to be honest, I've knocked this thing around so much, not intentionally, but it's gotten banged up pretty good, and it still runs amazing. So it's sturdier than what it looks, but it's kind of amazing because it's very customizable. You can choose all the settings, like directional setting, if you want to film in front of the camera, if you want to film the sides or all around, which is really, really cool. I've kind of messed around with that. And any kind of wind filter, your audio level, you can adjust everything. Or you can run it on auto and, you know, kind of let it figure its own thing out. But like I said, I like to do manual. And then it has the fuzzy, which this thing's probably really dirty. It's got 4 ports on the top. They do make a 6 mic version, I believe, but this one was plenty big for my kind of setup. And then obviously the windbreaker, squirrel tail, fluffy thing, which I just leave on all the time. It's a pretty nice mic. It's definitely more expensive than just a basic mic, but for everything that I'm doing, it's been kind of nice. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is maybe the weight this year, but with that in mind, I actually got a new camera arm. This is the triple micro, I believe it's called, from 4th Arrow, and as you can see, I spray painted it because I don't like it all black, but I'm curious to see how this works. I have not yet used it, but this is rated for 5 pounds, I believe, maybe even more than that, but my actual camera itself is about 5 pounds, maybe like 4.5. So it's heavy. It's definitely heavy. It's not the heaviest setup that I could have, but for self-filming, it's a heavy setup. So basically this just attaches with a ratchet strap, goes around the tree, and I prefer a triple arm of some sort because I like to be able to reach around a tree if I have to, or, you know, just do these little micro movements versus like having 2 that really have to swing. So just a personal preference. This is great for saddle hunting, especially because, you know, when you're facing it, you can just do these little teeny movements as the deer's walking or whatever. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited to try this out this year. And what I really like too is like this front section of the arm. I know I spray painted this part, but it's actually rubbery, so it's pretty silent. You know, you're not going to be banging on anything that's going to make too much noise, which is perfect. You know, you want to be quiet, obviously. That basically is what I'll be using in the tree this year, but then I also have my Slick AMT tripod. Corbin actually gave me this, and I'm very grateful because it is so nice. Like, I used to carry around this bulky, I'm not even sure what it was, this big bulky tripod, and it was so heavy and obnoxious. And it didn't do the job like it should have. It was very crickety and moved around a lot, but this one's really nice. It's got a lot of, you know, adjustability, and it's very smooth. So I really like it. This is what I run in turkey season or if I'm in a ground blind, obviously. So I've had this for a few years now, and I really like this. It's a Slick Pro 330 SMH. I don't know. But anyway, if you want to look into it, I don't actually know how much it weighs, but it's very lightweight for a tripod, and it holds my big camera really well. And then obviously the actual fluid head you can take off, and then that is the same fluid head that I will be using on my camera arm. So it's kind of nice because you don't have to buy 2 of these. You can if you want to, but for convenience, if you just want to have all of this in your vehicle, and then, you know, depending if you're on the ground or in the tree that day, you just take the fluid head. A lot of the time I will leave, so this is the little bracket here. So a lot of the times I'll leave this actually attached to my camera so I don't lose it or forget it. I kind of just screw it in, leave it there. And then if I am often, like if I'm flipping pretty often between these two, I will just even leave this piece on my camera, and then I'll just grab whatever it is I need for the day. That way I don't forget to grab this. You know, typically I'm in the tree in the fall, so I don't really have to worry about it too much, but just kind of a little side note, if you're trying to like save some money, you can only maybe get 1 fluid head, and then you can swap it out. And so right now you guys are currently watching me through my GoPro, so I'll show you guys and kind of talk about that next. And then you're gonna as I'm talking about the GoPro, you're going to watch me through this camera just so you guys can kind of see the quality. The difference is kind of insane with how good this is. And if you go back and watch some of my older hunt videos, you'll notice that the quality is just way different. Like it's not like it's bad, but it's more grainy. You know, the low light settings aren't awesome. And so I'm really, really excited about this camera. This is not something I would recommend for a beginner. If you're looking to start hunting, I would get just a simple camera arm and a handy cam. So literally just Google handy cam and you can find all different kinds, Sony, Canon. I mean, there's many different brands, and truthfully, they're all about the same anymore. You know, if you get anything that can film in 4K, you're good to go, really. So it kind of just depends on your budget and how in-depth you want to be. You can get a DSLR. This one's mirrorless, but you can get a DSLR, and those are better for filming and photography. So it kind of just depends, you know, what your goals are. I obviously need something that can take photos. Otherwise, I probably would run just a simple handy cam because I do think those are so much easier to use. That being said, I do run everything full manual, so that doesn't make it easier on myself. But if you can get, you know, just a simple handy cam to start out, I truly think that's the way to go because it's easy to use. They're lightweight, they're compact, and they're pretty good. I mean, like, they really do have decent quality. You're missing out on taking photos, but we all have a cell phone these days, so like realistically, it's not necessary to try to kill yourself over getting like the best when you're first starting out. I started with a Canon Rebel T3i, and I used that for a long time. It was a DSLR, and it was great for its time, but truthfully, I ran it so long that it just started to be like, okay, I need to upgrade. But it was very difficult to use at first because I had to learn everything. I had to learn how to use the camera and try to film, and it was a lot. If you're not used to that, I definitely don't make it harder on yourself. Go easy. Get something that's super simple to use, and then once you're kind of used to having a camera around and in, you know, getting a few animals on film, that kind of a thing, then I would say you can slowly upgrade yourself, and, you know, obviously you get better with practice, but definitely don't make it too hard on yourself. All right, now we're gonna move on to my second angle setup. So I currently run two, not one, not two, but two GoPros. These are both a 11 Hero 11 Black. I just happened to purchase one the first year it came out, really liked it, so I just got the same thing for this year as a second angle, just because I know they're both going to be the same, and I already am used to working them. So I used to run a Canon G7X Mark III, I think it was, and it had a really good lens on it for what it was. It was like a little vlog camera where, you know, the screen would flip up so I could see myself, and it was great, except whenever I would try to film in 4K, it would overheat after like 2 minutes of filming. So obviously not the end of the world, you just wouldn't film in 4K, but I've been trying to do that, so it's really difficult when my camera overheats to use it. So I decided I would try to go a separate route and attempt the GoPro. So typically what I would do is I actually, as you guys know, I made this thing this year. So this I'll show you in a second, but through that I've kind of got a relationship with Painted Arrow, and they've got a bunch of like cool arms and different attachments and things that you can use, whether it's your cell phone or just any kind of second angle. So I use this arm for one of my GoPros. It just has the little metal piece and can attach. So it's easy to just kind of adjust. Once I'm in the tree, put it on a branch or something like above my head and kind of face it down to me. Obviously it depends on the tree as to, like, you know, where you can actually set this. If I have no limbs at all, I'll either attach it to my backpack or like somewhere maybe even on my platform where I can have kind of a low angle up at me. The most important thing, though, I will say, is just to make sure it's within arm's reach, no matter where it is, because you got to be able to turn it on, obviously. So the biggest thing is just putting it somewhere where you're not making a lot of movement, especially someone like me where I have this one, the other one, and my main camera to turn on and get ready all at the same time. Plus, then I have to have my bow ready, you know, so that's just a lot of things happening. So I just like to try to put them in super like simple, convenient spots. But with that being said, you know, after so long of kind of having the same filming routine, you know, I really have been wanting to switch it up and kind of get some cool new angles. So that's kind of why I paired up with Painted Arrow to do the stabilizer mount. One, because it's nice for me that, you know, I can have just kind of the shot, and sometimes if I miss the shot on my main camera, then I'm able to hopefully get it on this. And then obviously it's helpful for you guys who also maybe want to film or get into filming. You can, you know, get one of these and just start out simple. So I love this. Here, I'll show you. I have it on my bow, a separate one. Super simple. All you're doing is sticking it right on there. Now I will say you do probably want to practice with this because it does add some weight to your bow. Not a lot of weight. I think it's 11 ounces, but it's still enough weight that, you know, you're going to notice a bit of a difference. Like I for sure notice it. So it's just more of like a strength training, muscle memory kind of thing, but it's really nice to have on there just, you know, for convenience. And it's easy to turn it on like in the moment. So I really like having that on there. And then I'll have the second angle elsewhere. And then obviously my main camera is what I will use to film the actual shot on the animal. So it's kind of just something I'm gonna mess around with. This is the first year I'm actually running both GoPros. I haven't done it yet, but I've kind of gotten used to having 3 cameras. So I don't see it being an issue. And actually I think it's gonna be easier because my other Canon vlog camera that I had, I really had to I had to turn it on and press record and make sure it was in focus. So that was like 3 steps, where the GoPros you just press record and they're gonna run. So I do prefer that feature. These are great for second angle because they have a wide angle lens, which means they show a very wide picture. It's not gonna be very tight and zoomed in, but you're gonna see a wider range of things, you know, just depending on where you're pointing it. So you could point it at yourself and you're gonna see yourself and maybe the animal behind you, or maybe you'll get, you know, also your bow in frame. So these are really nice because they do have that wider lens. But that being said, it's not gonna be super detailed. It's gonna be a different picture than what, you know, say a main camera is gonna be. So with that, I would say, like, don't rely on a GoPro to be like your main filming device unless you're just starting out and want to just kind of practice. That's why I think the stabilizer mount is really handy, because you can just practice and kind of get used to having a camera around. So there are other second angle options out there. It really truly depends on your budget, you know, kind of like how serious you want to be about it. I think a GoPro is a good all around. I think there's also an Insta360, I believe is one. I've heard good things about them. I haven't personally tried them. That's pretty much a simple rundown of my second angle. It's pretty straightforward. I try to keep my stuff as simple as possible because when you're trying to shoot a deer, it's, you know, already so much happening. You don't want to have to burden yourself with like too much more. You know, and it's one of those things that regardless of what camera you're getting or several cameras that you get, it takes time to practice. You're probably going to mess up. Like, there's so many deer that have survived because I wasn't savvy with the camera, or it was just an awkward angle, or, you know, I should have maybe shot instead of worrying about the camera. So there's all these things to kind of, you know, just figure out, and it's just not really something I can teach you. You just have to like go through the motions and practice. And if I just have any advice, it's shoot the deer. Like, worry about the filming after, because you're gonna be like more sad that you only have video of a deer versus shooting them. So do what you want, but that's just my little tidbit. I'd rather shoot the deer and take pictures after. So But yeah, practice, 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 and that's about all I can say. So definitely don't pick something that's difficult and complicated, you know, for your skill set, because if you're not savvy and know how to work a camera, you're not going to have a good time. And so I hate for you to use something and then just not enjoy it. So definitely put the fun and enjoyment in it first, and then worry about the technical side of everything later. I believe that's a wrap for my camera gear video. So hopefully you guys learned something and, you know, maybe picked up a little tip or trick. I'm always improving. I'm always working on things and tweaking and adjusting and trying new stuff. So it's an ever revolving door, really. And hopefully you guys are gonna have really, really good luck this season. I wish you all the best, and hopefully you guys get some really cool footage. Good luck. Thanks for watching.